A new study has been revealed that those people that would be categorized as woke are in fact far more miserable than the average person.
Yeah, so suddenly I stand the science. We believe the science.
I'm science all the way around us. So it says,
we believe the science. Woke people are miserable and science can prove it.
Yes.
So psychological researchers in Finland have created an assessment to help measure an individual's commitment to principles of social justice and made some surprising findings across the Finnish population, including a negative correlation between progressive ideals and levels of happiness. Well, anybody who's ever seen one of those before and after college photo lineups would have been able to tell that.
Immediately I saw a comment that said, also ugly. Don't forget ugly.
don't forget that they're ugly. So,
and extremely annoying.
Study author Askari Latinen, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. I am not Finnish, and I'm not going to apologize for that. A senior researcher at the Invest Research Flagship Center at the University of Turku remarked that woke discourse has since worked its way into Finnish discourse.
Well, they basically put together a bunch of truisms that woke people believe.
Do you want to go through them?
They scored how much woke people believe in these statements. So here they are. If white people have, on average, a higher level of income than black people, it's because of racism. They agree with that.
They believe that that is true.
University reading lists should include fewer white or European authors.
They believe that that is true.
Microaggressions should be challenged often and actively.
I agree. Oh, by the way,
macroaggressions.
They believe that that is true.
Okay, here's one that they disagree with. Trans women who compete with women in sports are not helping women's rights.
They disagree with that. They think they are helping women's rights.
I mean, or just neutral?
Yep.
I don't know. Here's one that they agree with. We don't need to talk more about the color of people's skin.
That's
See,
odd.
that's accidentally kind of reasonable.
Yep.
Another one, a white person cannot understand how a black person feels equally as another black person.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Now, here's the last one, which they disagree with. A member of a privileged group can adopt features or cultural elements of a less privileged group. So that would be cultural appropriation.
One of the most inadvertently kind of amazing things my dad ever said to me was like, one of the problems was that America didn't become a melting pot. It became a countertop with a bunch of ingredients all divided into separate sections, meaning that everyone moved into their specific neighborhoods. The white people moved to their neighborhood. Chinatown, all of these places where large populations all grow together, and they don't actually become a more cohesive group of people. They kind of just self-segregate into different areas. And
they're tribalistic.
They're tribalistic in a lot of ways. Most people were okay with that at a time when the discourse wasn't as, ideologically inclined as it is now.
Sounds like a Fed.
Yeah. I mean, he did work for the government, so.
Me? I'm a Fed?
Yes, you are a Fed.
You are a Fed?
Wait, why am I a Fed?
No, it was his dad I was talking about.
Oh, his dad is the Fed.
It's a recurring joke.
Okay.
So,
the author also said, this is interesting, the gender divide was most surprising to me. 3 out of 5 women view woke ideas positively, but only 1 out of 7 men.
I wonder why that is. Let's
go, boys.
Let's go.
Let's let it go.
So why is that? Now, I would say a big part of it is that there's a large percentage of women that are not having kids, and their maternal instincts are being kind of pushed into these ideas because it helps them feel like they're helping other people or providing, some type of aid to other people when
they're not useful at all to
when they
society.
don't have anyone in their actual inner circle that requires help. But also, there's the argument that men think about things in a more statistical and logical fashion than women do.
I think that
they think less emotionally.
These women's emotions have been totally hijacked by indoctrination, and it proves that women in fields such as social sciences, education, and the humanities are more likely to espouse woke views. By contrast, participants who worked in STEM were more likely to critique social justice efforts associated with wokeness. So the people who actually have skills, instead of going into 6 figures of debt to basically work in academia afterwards, they were less likely to be woke.
So you're telling me that these people have sadder, more miserable outcomes?
Yeah.
I really hope that they can delineate the progress of human history for us in perpetuity.
Oh, yeah.
So
I can't wait for these people to be the ones that bring the progress.
I think it's the move.
And
so it continued. The most concerning finding was the relationship between mental health and agreement with the scale.
Okay.
Researchers found a high prevalence of anxiety and depression in people who believe the following statement, quote, "If white people have on average a higher income than black people, it's because of racism." More broadly, they found that those who identified as left-wing were most likely to report lower mental well-being.
Wow.
The sad fact is, if you open your eyes and everywhere, at everything you look, all you see is grievance and inequality and problematic behavior, and you don't actually look for the good in anything because everything is bad, you're more likely to look at the world in a more negative light.
Well,
the problem is they see virtue in that.
It immediately, like once this was reported, all of the woke people saw the headline and started patting themselves on the back for being unhappy, for being miserable. They think that they're virtuous because they're unhappy about the world. So here's some responses.
Okay, go for it.
One person said, yeah, it's almost like being woke literally just translates to being aware of the world around you, which at this point is hopelessly depressing in its prospects.
That is one of the things we are dealing with the most right now is this huge push of nihilism, right?
Yeah.
The idea that you can understand that the world is flawed and that there are problems and everything, but still be happy is completely ridiculous to them because they have nothing in their immediate lives that brings them any joy.
Also circular logic.
Yeah.
Like
Another one said, somehow I'm not surprised that people who see and work to fix structural problems are more troubled than people who sit by and benefit from them. But go off.
It's not about that.
Go off.
It's about you.
Like you're using Stan Twitter language, and your name on Twitter is Estrogen Angel.
God,
you are not fixing anyone's structural problems.
Who is more likely to be happy? Someone who is working to fix all of the unfixable structural problems of society, or somebody who works to fix the lives of those in their own.
Well, look, that's the thing. They're not even doing any work for society. They're just pointing at problems that don't exist.
Fix nothing. They fix nothing. Their entire MO is awareness. Awareness is what stupid, weak people with no skill set do. They're
the ones who need to start a conversation.
True. Yeah. Because
we need to normalize.
Let's start a podcast about it.
We need to destigmatize.
This podcast is about the stigma about mental health or whatever.
And so I'm insane, and I'm proud of the fact that I'm on benzos, and we need to destigmatize the fact that I had a mental breakdown last night and dyed my hair red.
So I have a drug addiction, and I'm clinically depressed, so let me tell you how to lead the universe.
Yeah. I mean, that's essentially what they're saying.
We're doing.
And I think that's a sign that something is probably deeply wrong with your worldview.
I believe that if you were to poll every activist in the planet, the great majority of them would be unhappy.
Thankfully, though, the study author says he's about to move his efforts to the United States instead of Finland, so it's going to be even more extreme.
I wonder how that'll go.
I'm excited.
There is some part of me that feels a great amount of sadness for someone where I watch these things get played out, where they're presented with these large, unsolvable problems that they didn't know even existed just a couple of months ago, and watch as their entire existence deteriorates because they feel helpless over something that wasn't even their idea in the first place.
Well, they're even believing that something is wrong within them because they have unconscious bias. Yeah. So you're racist, and you can't even do anything to not be racist.
There's so many issues in the world that are of a result of naive people simply not getting out of the way and letting people with skill sets take care of things. Because they're all about the road to a solution being acceptable / pleasant regardless of the results, whereas other people are results driven regardless of the process.
Well, and they just want the government to solve all the problems anyways, because they don't actually, like you said, there's a difference between somebody who says, look, there's problems in my home life, there's problems in the world that I can control, and then looking for solutions. When your ultimate solution for everything is tax everybody else, and the government is the solution, you're completely taking the responsibility off yourself to fix anything. So all you had to do was put a bunch of hashtags in your tweet, and you did your job. You made society a better place.
And it's funny because we talked about abstractions, and the government is the only abstraction that they can somehow comprehend, but they do not comprehend the wheels behind it. Oh, the government, you mean just people?
Yeah.
Given authority, and they don't become infallible just because you've bestowed them authority. And it seems that no matter who you put in this situation, the same results keep happening. Again, it's just unrelenting naivety being weaponized against the everyday man.
I want to point out, though, wokeness isn't the only worldview that's going to make you unhappy.
Correct.
Nihilism.
I have met plenty of nihilists of all political leanings.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that the red pill movement, for example, it's incredibly nihilistic.
Yeah,
I've met a lot of far right conservatives who are incredibly nihilistic because you're looking at a worldview that has no solutions to any problems, and you definitely there's no hope for you as an individual.
Well, get out of the way.
And there's no escape. And
this is why I talk about focusing on yourself. Focus on what you can control, right?
But they think, there's no hope for me. There's no hope for anyone.
The idea to me is it's about whether you can accept that the world is flawed and there's problems that are always going to exist. Can you? What was I said yesterday? I said the day that you accept that the world isn't fair is a good day. Because if you're not tortured with the fact that not everybody is going to come to an exact equal outcome all the time, that sometimes things go bad, but that's not all there is, you're more liable to find goodness elsewhere. And
I was talking about a similar thing with Sarah today in the kitchen. And I was saying that there's a moment in every man's life, and it's approximately like 23, 24, kind of like that Blink-182 song, where he realizes that he is no longer loved by simply because of the man who he is, and he is loved by what he can produce. And it's honestly a moment that defined men, because it's the hardest moment in your life, and you will receive a great central part of your respect for yourself for overcoming it. However, there are a significant portion of men that never overcome that, and they remain in this childlike state. Yeah. Where they kind of accentuate the qualities that they were loved as children. And I feel like we're rewarding that type of people. And I feel like this is the Harry Potter kid, the Disney kid, they just lean so heavily towards the juvenile aspect of them that made them unique at the moment or feel loved. But they just can't get over the fact is hey, we are a collective people, and we all need to put our hand in it. And as cruel as it may be, we need step it up. I just say focus less on large scale problems and focus internally in those in your initial circle of people. The smaller you make the problems that you need to solve, the better off you are. Mm-hmm. If your goal is to solve, I need to find a better job, I need to make strides in my relationship, I need to learn certain skills, that's something you can work on. I need to solve systemic racism and good luck. And inequality. That's not a realistic thing for anybody to work on. But as they say, if you can fix things in your own world, you make the world a better place, which puts you closer to a world with the things that you want solved. I don't think that that's all that crazy of an idea. No, it's a great idea. People are thinking on a macro scale, but we can't solve problems that way. Because there's an archetype of person that will use impossible problems as their crux. Is oh, wow, you're concerned about losing 10 pounds. I'm concerned about fixing the entire global economy. You're watching a podcast when there's a genocide going on in Gaza? But it's again, so they set themselves impossible standards so that they can predictably fail and be like, well, at least I tried.
Yeah.
You did not try. You're hiding behind the lie
It's just
that
nihilism.
you tried.
It's
Yeah,
just
it's like a more insidious nihilism.
No,
because
it's like a self-soothing tactic.
it is a self-soothing tactic. That's why it's like more insidious, because
Yeah.
they're banking of my goodwill that I'm not gonna call them out on. It's like, well, it's impossible and you knew it, and that's why you're doing it. It's
I'm
because
fresh out of goodwill for them.
oh, I have none,
I'm done.
dearest friend. I have none. I don't
Never
even want to
did.
associate with them anymore.
I can't
Frankly.
I can't ever wrap my head around it, because for all of the problems in the world, even in this space, and it's very easy to get blackpilled in this space, because one of the things about podcasts like Tim's or other like that, they're constantly talking about large-scale political issues which have large-scale implications for the country we live in. But I can't bring myself to let that destroy my ability to just get up, go to work, and find the things I find enjoyable. So I can be done with work here, go skate, and I have as much fun doing that now as I did 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and that's enough for me. I don't need to solve all of the problems that are going on. It's another reason why I talk about why there's certain types of shows that I like. There is a tone to shows that came out between 2007 and 2012, which just had more hope.
Optimism for
Which
sure.
was just more optimistic about the human condition. And when you go back and rewatch that stuff now in the shadow of the disgusting grime that is Hollywood's tonal choice now, it's amazing. And you're like, wow, it feels like a weight is being lifted off you when you're watching stuff like that. And that's not even to say that all of these shows are good. They just have a more positive outlook on what it means to be a human being here in America.
And to your point, the shows that I think that of the generation that you enjoyed the most, they had imperfect characters that still like strive towards a goal. Whereas now, the art forms is like this impossibly perfect person that's just like things happen to them and they have the perfect solution to and answer towards everything. There is no point of like self-discovery. There is no point of introspection. They come with a perfect set of values, progressivism, and then they weaponize progressivism against a solution and it works out perfectly. And I feel like people see that as like, I'm going to do that. And then it doesn't work because
Reality-
it never works.
Reality hits them in the face.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.